Katoa, good evening. Immigration, Kiwisaver and fiscal discipline. The Prime Minister revealing there'll be less new money to spend later this month. But Christopher Luxon also used today's pre-budget speech for some electioneering. He signalled what the National Party will be campaigning on, and it's already creating some friction within the coalition. Business correspondent Jason Walls has more.
The Prime Minister in friendly territory, shaking hands and rubbing shoulders with Auckland's business leaders.
And we've got kick-ass, world-class people.
But no one's getting their hopes up ahead of this month's budget.
And obviously the books are pretty tight, so I guess what business leaders will be looking for is really that real disciplined fiscal focus.
I'd be looking for a lot of things, but I don't think we're going to get anything, to be honest. There's no money in the tank.
The Prime Minister's pre-budget speech hitting a sombre note, reflecting on a volatile global situation.
New Zealand's energy vulnerability is no longer a theoretical risk. It's a live crisis on full display in the Strait of Hormuz every single day.
So the government's approach to the oil crisis is going to need to be a very balanced one, supporting households that are most vulnerable, but making sure that they're doing that without adding to the inflation surge.
And that's why the government's reducing its operating allowance, the amount of new money it can spend at the budget, by $300 million, bringing it to $2.1 billion, but not yet saying where the savings will come from.
Look, we'll detail all of that in the budget with a specific detail, but as you know, we've been working really assiduously to move money from the back office to the frontline services.
Suggestions of cuts and dismissals in the public sector from the Prime Minister are irresponsible and dangerous. The public sector and the health system are cut to the bone because of this government.
Election issues also on the agenda. The National Party leader weighing in on immigration.
You should expect to see careful policy on immigration from National as we get closer to the election. And my message to the business community is that the truth is that when it comes to immigration, when faced with a choice between social cohesion and stability and your bottom line, I'll choose the former every single time.
But New Zealand First's leader says talk of a careful approach doesn't stack up.
How do you reconcile that with the Indian Free Trade Agreement? It's an agreement to do with immigration, not to do with trade.
What we can see from the three parties that make up this government is that they're lining up for some very ugly anti-migrant rhetoric in this year's election campaign. It's clear this government want to blame migrants for the economic position the country's in.
The Prime Minister getting a move on
New Zealand waits for no one.
with just 10 days until the budget.
Right, Jason is with us for more on this. Kiwisaver and immigration already becoming hot topics ahead of the election, Jason.
Absolutely. I mean, today was billed as a major pre-budget speech, which it was. That information that we got about the lesser amount of new money going into the budget this year was significant. And we're going to have to see how that circle is squared with the also announcement of an increased amount of money for capital spending on more longer-term projects going forward as well. But the speech almost took on a different tone about halfway through, when we saw almost less pre-budget and more pre-election from the Prime Minister today. In fact, the national leader today, because that's sort of the hat that he was wearing. And it's not to be unexpected. I mean, we are edging towards the election, but it was immigration policies that were very much in the focus from what we saw today from Christopher Luxon, talking about how it was not, how there's been unfair and unreasonable targeting of migrant communities in New Zealand from some political parties, not naming names as to who they were. But we have seen New Zealand First in particular really making some comments in this space. Chris Luxon going on to talk about the failed immigration policies in North America and Europe. So we can really see the battle lines being drawn when it comes to immigration policies. So that's going to play out between now and the election, I would say. We also saw the national leader, Chris Luxon, talking about how his party plans to have a Kiwisaver policy in the election as well. So it's already gearing up for a bit of a slobber knocker, I would say.
Also some talk of a partial sale of Kiwibank. What's the government's position on this?
It's another interesting story that came out of today. A lot of interesting business angles to the politics space. It came from a letter of expectation sent by Simeon Brown, who is the Minister in charge of state-owned assets, to the top brass at Kiwibank, saying, quote, "We expect Kiwibank to undertake work on alternative growth scenarios along with the capital required for these." That sent off a few alarm bells within the beehive and various different political parties. One, Winston Peters, again, not too happy with that. He almost brought out that big no sign that we've become so familiar with over the years. Doesn't want a bar of the sale of Kiwibank, saying that if anything, the government should be doing more business with Kiwibank in terms of some of those big, more meaty government accounts. But didn't really matter because Simeon Brown, who's the minister up in Auckland, said there would be no sale of Kiwi Bank, but he was really keen to see it be better competitor to those big Aussie banks as well.
Tēnei te mihi atu. Thanks so much.